And also he's wearing jorts. No! The One Move Wonders video was great because we got to learn about a lot of really obscure fighting games out there that I had never known existed, including the Kamen Rider one, the Pokemon one, and the Kinnikuman Man one. I have seen some suggestions for you guys to check out more about those things, so I've got a lot on my plate, but I won't deny that I'm also pretty personally interested in seeing more of those. We'll see how things go. But regardless, this particular video caught my eye because I believe on the thumbnail here, I'm kind of blocking it a little bit, but I'm almost certain that's Testament. I didn't realize that Testament would be considered like a terrible bottom tier character. Maybe on initial release. I think in Strive they're doing okay, but I don't know. And I have no idea who the other two are, but I guess we'll get to see some new fighting games here in this video. But yeah, dudes, before we get into this, please make sure to go and support Bumbles. Link to that is at the very top of the description. Like always.
Not every character in a fighting game can be the best.
Blue, let's go.
There's only so much room at the top, and it's usually limited. The top tiers are only one part of what makes fighting games great, though. And not being a top tier is nothing to be ashamed of.
What the hell? What fighting game is this? When was there a fighting game where Zero and Earthquake were in the same one? Isn't Earthquake a character from Sam Show? I did watch a few Sam Show matches at EVO, so that's probably where I know him from, but the only ones I can think of Zero being in is like Marvel vs. Capcom.
Some of the coolest, most mechanically unique fighting game characters don't even come close to the top, and that's fine. Tier lists only truly matter if you're trying to be hyper-competitive.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you're just trying to casually enjoy a fighting game, almost any character on the roster can get the job done.
Yeah, no, genuinely. If you're just getting into fighting games, my recommendation is always pick who you think looks coolest. That being said, whenever I say this, there's going to be comments talking about, oh yeah? But what if the person who you think looks cool is like Zato 1 or Carl or any of these really hard to play puppet characters or stance characters? In that aspect, probably use a little bit more nuance. Like if you're not very mechanically good at fighting games yet, you may want to pick like a second or third favorite design out of that might be a little bit easier to play. Just to ease yourself into things first before really committing your time to that harder character that just looks really damn good.
I say almost because there's a class of characters who embarrass themselves and their players just by showing up, and are more at home at the bottom of a barrel than they are on the battlefield. And you might think I mean joke characters, but I don't. Joke characters aren't usually designed to be strong. They're made to make the game more enjoyable at their expense. The guys I'm talking about are jokes, they're just not funny. Sometimes the stars align and bless a game with a character who plays so poorly with the game's mechanics, whose playstyle doesn't function, or who's simply bad at everything that they're nothing short of terrible. This is what I want to look at. The worst of the worst in fighting games, who were designed to be viable characters. Like when we talked about silly top tiers, a lot of the major fighting game franchises tend to be well balanced. So even characters at the bottom of the tier list can still play the game. Are you gonna struggle with somebody like Billy Khan, Marissa, or Enkidu? Sure.
What did Bumbles just say? Billy Khan? Isn't it Billy Kane? Or have I been mispronouncing his name this entire time?
But the difference between those guys and these guys is that Billy doesn't have broken buttons that don't do anything. Marissa isn't stuck in the wrong game, and Enkidu was actually finished by the developers. The characters I found can't say the same.
I can't wait to get into Under Night in Birth, man. Uni 2 looks so damn cool. I already have the game, I'm just waiting for an open stream slot to finally start it. Wind up.
I can't think of a better game to start out with to find a bad character than one where every character is broken. It'll make the week really easy to weed out. I've talked about this game sometime back in the Paleolithic era, but in case you've forgotten, Hokuto no Ken is the quintessential so bad it's good fighting game.
I shouldn't be surprised. Of course, Fist of the North Star would have a fighting game. I mean, JoJo's has one, so why not the inspiration for that?
Developed by Arc System Works and released in 2005 in arcades and in 2007 on the PlayStation 2,
Wait, hold up, Arxis. I don't know about the popularity of Fist of the North Star currently, probably not great, but like, I would actually love to see a second entry or like a remake of this in the modern era. That'd be kind of cool. I know that they have their hands full though with like Guilty Gear as well as Marvel Tokon, Grand Blue as well, but like, I can wish.
Hokuto no Ken is a fighting game that lacks polish and is borderline broken. And if it wasn't, people wouldn't still be playing it 20 years later. How
really?
A game gets released in a state like this is a failure of quality assurance and a success for the whole human race. If a character in a fighting game has an infinite, that's cause for alarm. HNK, meanwhile, realized giving everybody an infinite was...
Wait, are you telling me that every single character in this game could just hit 5A over and over and over again? Like a certain other somebody from Art of Fighting? If so, that is hilarious, and honestly, kind of fitting for the series. Now, just to let you guys know, so that I can set your expectations here, I don't know too much about Fist of the North Star. I haven't watched any of the anime or read the manga. I just know that it is the thing that inspired JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I really like a lot. And obviously the whole punching sound that also got carried over into JoJo's in a different sort of way. But it's super iconic.
A kind of balance. The game has moves that are so poorly programmed they can break the game. Or even
there
worse,
you go.
Destroy the game. Am I supposed to not bring up?
Wait, 63A cancels into air special moves, no invincibility, but we have the 63C, raise invincible reversal. While being a DP, it is also often used in basket combos by boosting out the last hit. In the arcade version, boost TKing this move after Grave Shoot will cause raise DP to hit infinitely many times. The technique is called a Grave Install, but the effect it has on raise DP is unique to it. This is a banned technique in organized play. Failing to boost out of the last hit before KO or timeout will soft lock the game, requiring a restart. Bro, literally breaking the game.
The arcade board melting DP? The roster ranges from solid and playable characters, with infinites, to nearly unbeatable juggernauts, who also
with
have
infinites. Yeah.
With top threats like Toki, Ray, and Rao
what the hell is
having
this,
the most
bro?
insane tools a character can ask for. Toki is considered the game's best and has ridiculous options, including counters with as little startup as they can, short of being frame zero, incredible movement options like teleports that mean you're never safe against him, and a matchup spread that leaves the only character that can go even with him as another Toki! The developers must have looked down at their own creation and realized how good he was, and to make sure the game stayed balanced, made a character so horrible that it would even out the scales. As you can see, it was a massive success. Finding the weakest character in the game isn't too hard because the tier list is largely canonical, with Toki and Rao at the top,
Poor Heart over here.
And Mr.
I'm almost
Heart
certain.
at the bottom.
Yep.
In Hokuto no Ken, Mr. Heart is one of Shin's 4 generals based on playing card suits.
Wait a minute. Is this the guy who gets Omae wa mo shinderu'd? Oh yeah, and I also know the meme, obviously. But I don't know the exact scene. It feels like this guy might be involved in it. Or at least somebody who maybe looks similar.
And despite being what is essentially a jobber, he's the first guy to give Kenshiro trouble and, as a result, has found a fandom. Characters like Yamcha and Kinnikuman Big Body often become fan favorites despite not really doing anything and getting beaten really easily. Probably because people enjoy an underdog. This led to Mr. Heart not just being included in this game, but getting his own backstory in the Gaiden sub-series, and getting a new buff form to promote fitness boxing, Fist of the North Star. Given his fandom, it's not surprising that he made it into the game, and the only thing less surprising is that he is at the bottom of the tier list. Mr. Heart's biggest weakness is just how big he is, because with how much of the screen he takes up, there's no need to get in on Mr. Heart. His massive mass is always in range of any character. Characters like Ray and Toki are super mobile and have no issues getting in, so Mr. Heart fights are like a vacation for them. Heart's girth also backfires by making his mobility miserable, leaving him as the only character in the game without the ability to boost.
Okay, look. Massive respect to anybody who plays hard in an actual competition for this game, because you know that they're struggling, but they have a passion for the character.
Boosting in HNK is a separate bar from your special meter, which allows you to dash and cancel out of recovery frames for certain moves. It's a really useful tool for approach, maintaining proper spacing.
Look at this shit, man. What the fuck is that? Arxis, why? Man, I guess everybody has to start from somewhere.
And improperly comboing. And Mr. Heart doesn't have one. Because of his size, the developers didn't give him a boost meter and locked him out of a universal mechanic. There's a world of difference between not being able to use boost effectively and not having the option at all. Mr. Heart's normals are really disappointing, with them either being stubby and fast or far-reaching and slow.
Also, hold up a minute. Is Jaggy here the second guy who's on the thumbnail? Or maybe he just looks similar, I don't know.
Meaning that in the mid-range, Mr. Heart has no options. Some of his buttons are legendarily bad, with 2D being perhaps one of the worst moves in any fighting game. 35 frames of startup and 34 frames of recovery for a big 4 active frames. His jab has the exact same amount of active frames, with only 5 startup and 4 recovery frames. There is a 30-frame difference between his jab and his 2D. Heart also has the distinction of being so big, he has 2 spots on the tier list. One for if you're player 1, and the other for player 2. Player 2 Mr. Heart is a better character than player 1 Mr. Heart. Because, for some goddamn reason, player 2 Heart gets additional hit stun on his moves that you don't get if you're player 1.
Why? What is this, like, janky-ass programming? Like, how? This isn't fair at all.
Meaning that you have access to combos that just don't work for player 1. It's optimal play to let your big brother take the first player controller and use the Mad Catz one if you're playing Mr. Heart. With all of that, though, once you get past what makes Heart so bad, you find he does actually have some special spice that makes him more viable than you realize. For instance, Heart has an extremely odd mechanic where by holding the button down during jumping C, Heart will actually store the move's hit of super armor, letting him take it with him to protect himself. This gives him a unique pseudo-resource system that gives Heart a lot more to do. Keeping the super armor makes his approach safer and lets him use unsafe moves, safe in the knowledge that the super armor will eat any counterattacks. Do I think this was intentional? Probably not, but he's not complaining. Some of Heart's moves are even good on purpose, like his grabs all being really strong, as well as having a vacuum move that drags the opponent into range for those throws to be the most effective.
Oh hey, it's just like the big grappler dude from BlazBlue. It's been a while, but I think his name is Iron Tiger. Honestly, if Potemkin from Guilty Gear had that magnetism mechanic like Tiger does, yeah, definitely tier 0 character right there.
Earth Crush is a really good move with versatility and range, and he has access to a unique special install that, at the cost of being unable to block and having to move constantly, gives you his best moves. This includes an even stronger command grab and his Typhoon, which by far is his best move. And when losing out on that boost bar, the devs were kind enough to throw out his other bar too, as Heart's guard can't be broken. In HNK, there is an extremely odd system where characters are placed on a tier list where lower tier characters will be forced to have a guard gauge that can be broken, therefore breaking their guard. And since Heart is at the top of this tier list, he never has to have a guard meter unless he's fighting either Shin or another Mr. Heart. Every other character, though, will have a guard meter because they're fighting Mr. Hart, who's on a higher level of the tier list.
What in the world? Why did we think of this system? I have never heard of a balancing system like this before. Then they had to have known that the characters were just broken busted, if there's like an internal tier list within the game itself.
Hart's potential is so high, in fact, that he's seen as a counterpick against top-tier Ray, due to his anti-air grab being incredibly strong, and Ray spending more time in the air than he does on the ground. Even though he's an Arc System Works grappler, the worst thing you can be, and struggles against almost every character in the game, Hart...
Okay, being an Arc Sys grappler before was pretty damn bad. I've heard Potemkin was not having a good time in any of the older Guilty Gears. Until Strive. Now, they did nerf him in like the latest patch, so things have calmed down a little bit, but man, Potemkin was so damn oppressive.
Does at least have a lot of interesting stuff he can do. He's in contention for the worst character, and most players would probably say he's worse, but I really can't overlook everything else wrong with the second lowest rated character in the game, Jaggy.
Yeah, there
Jaggy
you
is
go.
the worst. He's a bastard, terrible at martial arts, has the worst Gaiden side story. Jaggy sucks. I like Jaggy, but Jaggy sucks, and that carries over to HNK. Jaggy fills the role of Trap Master, specifically the sub-archetype of worse Trap Master than Yuta. His game plan is to hamper the opponent with hazards left all over the stage that make the approach difficult,
Trap Zoner,
in the form of his gasoline attacks. Barrels and puddles can be left around the stage for Jaggy to ignite with either a match or his shotgun blast.
I've always found Trap Zoners to be a very interesting archetype. I don't think I would enjoy playing as them. However, they're kind of like the masters of set play, yeah? If you really want to get good at stuff like that, trying to main somebody who is a Trap Zoner would maybe be a good way to do so. And the way that you would approach combat and how you'd approach each single matchup would be vastly different from literally everybody else in the cast. Yesterday was the first time I ever played Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising. And I believe they also have a Trap Zoner called Cagliostro, I believe. Not really somebody that I would main, but having the option there, I might want to explore that a little bit more, just to kind of like round out my fighting game knowledge.
Not only does igniting them do good damage, but the puddle actually slows down opponents who move through it. That means a smart Jaggy player will be leaving them all around the stage, so if he gets comboed, the opponent moving through them might be too slow and drop the combo, allowing him to counterattack.
Sounds hella annoying.
This would work, except his traps are bad and don't work. Ray can easily fly over any traps Jaggy leaves for him on the ground, and Toki can teleport right through them. The game's best characters easily ignore the gasoline, and everyone else can too, since despite these traps implying Jaggy would be great at anti-air to punish people who jump over them,
he's not.
He isn't.
Yeah,
he only has one decent anti-air, which is pretty good, especially if the opponent is doused in gasoline, but that one attack isn't enough to properly stop people from ignoring his gimmick.
Yeah. When it comes to these Zoner type characters, I would expect them all to have really good anti-airs. You look at somebody like Guile from Street Fighter and his flash kick, yeah? Constantly pressuring your opponent by throwing fireballs at them, making them want to jump, and then you catch them off guard when they jump, so that you gain advantage back, send them back, and then you start the whole process all over again. Although I suppose it'd be different for Trap Zoner, because you're not really throwing out fireballs, but you're still putting obstacles on the field for your opponent to have to think through. So if you have no good options in the air, then what is even the point of playing Jaggy? Or really any Trap Zoner? I don't know.
If Jaggy is forced to ignore his gimmick and focus on his buttons, well, that's not good because Jaggy's buttons aren't good. Jaggy's combo game is incredibly poor, and his damage shockingly low. Pair that with moves that just aren't as fast as the rest of the cast, and it leaves you wondering what range he is supposed to be good at. Jaggy's biggest issue, though, is that a lot of his kit is based around gimmicks. He can't just do something, he has to do it in a really dumb way. Jaggy's specials and supers are situational. sometimes matchup specific, and barely any of them are useful even in their best scenarios. The match you use to ignite gasoline is completely useless on its own, but is still needed because you can only ignite gas puddles using it. He has a fake surrender move that allows him to back up and spit out unblockable needles that break an opponent's star on hit.
A fake surrender move, but I'm assuming that you're still going to get hit regardless, especially if you're playing against an actual person. Like, would they even care? Probably not, no.
But that backup makes the move super telegraphed and easy to play around.
Yeah.
Jaggy's taunt lets him drop his shotgun, which locks him out of any shotgun-based moves, including that good anti-air, fireball, and his far C. This has no practical application, and that's including how there's a special tied to it. If you get knocked down near your gun, you can fire it off for a guaranteed star break, and even rapid fire it to break up to 3 stars at once. Not only is gimping yourself for the chance to break 3 stars at the cost of all your meter terrible, most combos in HNK don't let you touch the ground. They'll dribble you, sure, but that's not the same thing. One of Jaggy's super moves is a command grab, which drains the opponent's boost and guard gauge, as well as breaking a star if it lands. But you can only use it on Shin because it references the moment where Jaggy convinces Shin to steal Kenshiro's girlfriend. As a Fist of the North Star fan, it's a really cute piece of fan service.
It's cute, it's neat, it's unique, it's useless in an actual fight. Like, why? He literally is just the gimmick character. If you could win a round using all these weird-ass gimmicks somehow, that would be super hype. But you're really putting yourself on the back foot.
As a fan of winning the game, it's completely worthless.
Yeah.
One of his super moves is a quiz show where he asks you what his name is, just like in the show, which deals great damage if the opponent fails to pick the right one. But if they pick correctly, they deal no damage. A funny property of this move is that it can be extended out to a second question to deal extra damage at the cost of more super meter. But if the first hit would have killed, then you extend, then they guess right, the opponent actually gets back a magic pixel of health to keep fighting.
What?
Jaggy is so bad he has the potential to revive the opponent at no benefit to himself. You want to know how bad Jaggy's life sucks? He isn't even allowed to block in peace. His low block has him pull out a statue to guard himself. The statue isn't like better at guarding or anything, it's just cosmetic. If you block low for too long though, the statue will break, which means Jaggy is disabled from blocking low for a few seconds. Why?
What? What in the fuck? You're not allowed to block low? What? This poor character, man. He really is just a jobber. And they accurately portrayed that in the fighting game. But then, like, why would you even play him? Unless if you're really, like, an enthusiast for these lower tier characters, or should I say some sort of a low tier god.
Other characters have to have a guard meter thrust upon them, but Jaggy has it built in by default. I am though ignoring that Jaggy does have some pretty good moves to his name. His jumping A is a really good move, his gasoline super is extremely useful, and his other special, Hokuto Ragangeki, is one of the best supers in the game. No joke. Barely any startup, safe on hit, block, and whiff thanks to the needles you can shoot out,
okay, at least and sets up for
Jaggy's infinites. Jaggy is also an exceptional star breaker. Lots of his moves, both good and bad, have great star breaking potential, which means he's able to steal wins he shouldn't by going for his fatal KO. For those who don't know how the mechanic works, in Hokuto no Ken, there are 7 stars of death underneath your health bar.
So that's what those
moves
were.
Have the property to remove stars. If you lose all of your stars, you'll be susceptible to a fatal KO, which will automatically lose you the round.
So basically, lose all the stars, you get a fatality.
Hokuto no Ken's metagame is built around these fatal KOs. They're extremely important and constantly gone for whenever the opportunity presents itself, And of course, Toki has the best one. And Jaggy is the proud owner of the worst fatal KO in the game.
Lovely.
See, the move has 3 hitboxes. The initial hitbox, the match, and the ignited gas. Only the ignited gas will trigger the fatal KO. So if you are knocked away during the first part of the attack, it'll whiff.
You'll miss.
That knockaway can be triggered by the initial hit. Meaning Jaggy is just as likely to hit the opponent out of his own fatal KO as he is to land it.
You're shitting me, bro.
But it gets worse, as that match has the same properties as his normal match special. So if you were to trigger it in the wrong place, you'd get this.
No! You have gotta be shitting me, bro. What the? Did you just KO yourself from the match? Oh my god.
Jaggy can't even infinite properly, as despite his incredibly poor performance everywhere else, Jaggy's basketball combos are the hardest to pull off on the entire roster. You can't even infinite right! Your infinites are countable, you dumb piece of shit! While I do agree that Mr. Hart is the worst of the two, Mr. Hart is bad for one central reason: his massive size and lack of mobility. Jaggy, meanwhile, just falters in every regard. He can't hit hard, he can't combo, his gimmicks stink, he has more gimmicks than every other character. He's just too much for
Jaggy.
me. And to invert his brother, while Toki lists a negative for playing him as a loss of popularity, trying to win with Jaggy is listed as a positive.
Crowd bonus using Jaggy is like the opposite of using Toki. Everyone will like you and think you're cool. I mean, it's a classic story of cheering for the underdog, yeah? Whenever you see somebody who's playing a top-tier character fighting against somebody else who is playing a lower-tier character in the final match of EVO, I think most people are going to be cheering for the person playing the lower-tier character, just because, you know, that character may not have ever won an EVO before.
As it shows everybody, you're chill and cool. Hey, this little dude isn't even trying to win. I like him. From one anime fighter to another, we get one that's much more balanced. If you take these 2 lead weights off the scale, I'm not done talking about Muscle Grand Prix 2. Any chance I can get to try to trick people into watching Perfect Origin by doing so, I'll take it. MGP2 is a really unique fighting game. Different from so many others, while still being easy to learn. As somebody still trying my best to learn, and being biblically bad at fighting games, I found myself in a good groove where arcade mode runs have become a lot easier. Part of the appeal of the game is its roster, spanning both Kinnikuman and its sequel series, Kinnikuman Nisei, to include so many distinct characters that even non-fans will be able to gravitate towards thanks to their designs. When looking for the best characters in the game, you obviously have the boss-tier characters like Kinnikuman Super Phoenix and Akuma Shogun, but just below that you get a good mix of different characters. You have the simple characters who use the fundamentals of the game the best, like Kinnikuman, Robin and Kevin Mask, and Brocken Jr., as well as the more complicated ones who require higher execution, but rewarded in spades, like Terryman and Kinnikuman Zebra. Seriously, have you seen what a good zebra in this game looks like? I haven't, it's nightmare fuel!
Have you seen what a good zebra looks like in this game is such a wild sentence out of context. It's like, what? What game are we talking about? Some sort of safari thing? No, I'm talking about Kinnikuman.
If you're an asshole, you can also just pick Mountain. Ultimately, though, the game is balanced well enough that you can pick anybody and get results. Whether it be higher-rated characters like Sneegator, or lower-rated ones like Big the Budo. Nobody is incompetent. That is, except for the bottom 2. These are 2 characters so completely outclassed that any love you might have for them from the series is dwarfed by the amount of struggles you'll have just playing the game.
Damn.
The one I think might just be negligibly better is Scarface, or Escara as Ultimate Muscle viewers might call him. Scarface is an evil imposter Justice Chojin, who eventually goes so undercover, he just becomes a good guy. As a character, Scarface is a big body. Much
the
like
true
Big Body,
undercover experience.
So already compared to the more nimble characters, he's gonna struggle. But unlike other big characters, he doesn't have the tools to make up for it. Big the Budo has some great get-off-of-me supers, like Magnet Power Minus, which puts the opponent into heavy stun if they get too close, and also a great get-on-me super with Magnet Power Plus, which pulls opponents in from a distance. Sunshine's entire gimmick is having great wake-up options from the floor, with a sky drop great for getting away, strong throws, and the ability to simply slink away to get back into position.
So wake-up throws
Unlike a lot of
insane.
other fighting games, being a big character is not a detriment in Muscle Grand Prix 2, especially with how integral grabs are, and how much more range these bigger characters get. Let's not get crazy though. A lot of top tiers are very, very fast, a lot of bottom tiers are very, very slow. I'm just saying that it isn't an automatic death sentence like it is in a lot of other games. Scarface, though, doesn't have any of that. In place of any strong utility supers or gimmicks like other big characters, his pool of supers is limited to only 2 that aren't flat-out command grabs. Are those grabs strong? Of course, but not as strong as being able to pull them off.
I mean, at least there's that, but yeah, I can see where he's going with this. He has all the faults of the big body characters, but none of the advantages that they have specifically. A character like that is kind of just a recipe for disaster. Like, they're not making it anywhere near the middle line of that tier list.
Scarface's biggest weakness is the same as somebody like Ganondorf in Smash. He can deal heavy damage, but never gets the chance to control the fight. The opponent gets to dictate everything about how the match plays out,
you don't want that to be the case.
Scarface is allowed to play. Scarface can't get in on an opponent due to all of his attacks being slow and short-ranged, only really being able to get stuff done with his Vader Crash and basic jab. All of the rest of his tools are simply too slow to properly react to the opponent and get them where he wants them. That speed disadvantage, lack of utility supers, big body, and bad normals means that Scarface also can't get out of pressure, not just not apply it. Where other characters like Robin Mask would have a super all about getting pressure off of themselves, Scarface instead pumps more and more into powerful throws. His only decent option comes from his only good special move, Aerial Swallow's Tail. But if you like how this move looks, guess what? Terry Man and Terry the Kid both have the same move in their Texas Condor Kick. Both of these characters having infinitely more options than Scarface does, and both being better as a result. His moves have really obvious tells to them, his combos are short, and it's hard to convert into his combos due to how sluggish his moves are. His inability to choose when he wants to fight means Scarface is best played defensively, which feels antithetical to his design. Suddenly, this strong bully character is on the back foot, running away and trying to sneak in damage where he can.
Yeah, it really doesn't fit the design at all, which is just unfortunate. I mean, we talked about Marissa earlier. Like, this is basically if Marissa was not a powerhouse going on the offensive and all she could do was defend and, I don't know, use Aikido moves. Like, what? I think this kind of applies to really any sort of PvP-like game. But the main objective is to control the flow of the match always. And if whatever you're playing doesn't have the ability to do so, whether that be like a particular Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, not having any good cards to cancel out some of your opponent's effects, or obviously here in fighting games where you don't really have moves that can control what your opponent does and sort of condition them into a state where you can control the match, then yeah. It's really just a coin flip whether or not you win. It's more so your opponent's game to lose than it is for you to win.
His damage is great. That's his main redeeming feature. But he lacks a way to properly deal that damage. His grab range is good, but in this game, you're not throwing out special grabs unless you're absolutely certain that it will land, because the punishment for not hitting one is loads of ending lag. And if the opponent sees that, they're going to rip you apart. it's not like a character like this can't exist in Muscle Grand Prix 2. Really, everything Scarface wants to be, Buffalo Man already is. Buffalo Man is a slow bruiser, but when he swings, you feel it. He is strong as hell.
I mean, makes sense, just based off the name and design.
Sure, but way more utility thanks to moves like Hurricane Mixer and Poisoned Knee Lift. 2 moves Scarface would kill for. Scarface was long considered the worst character in the game, and there's certainly an argument to be made that he still is, but one thing he has going for him, prepare for the ultimate backhanded compliment, he can still play the game of Muscle Grand Prix 2. What Scarface has to himself isn't...
The one thing he's got going for him is that he has the participation award. So what is this other character? Are they gone? They're not allowed to play? What's happening?
Very good. But the universal systems of the game don't let him down. If you want to play him like a snapping turtle, staying back and playing defensive until the exact moment to try to steal a win,
he can
steal wins. Is this effective or
not really?
Fun?
Not the greatest strategy ever.
But it still put up results. As unlike the true worst character, Scarface does have a tournament win to his name. You're gonna struggle.
Let's go.
A lot. But if you push Scarface, he can give you results. That's because he isn't trapped in the wrong game, like the real worst character, Planet Man. Planet Man is one of the 6 Devil Knights who serves Akuma Shogun. And unlike his contemporaries in Sneegator, Sunshine, and Ashura Man, Planet Man hasn't been praying to Satan hard enough, and is doomed to worst character status for a lot of reasons. First off is that Planet Man is the game's only dedicated zoner, having 3 projectile supers, where most characters have 0. While he does lack a meterless fireball that a character like Atlantis would have, Ringstone, Planet Ring, and Apollo Dynamite are meant to cover 3 different ranges and act as utility to handle an opponent from any distance. Being the game's...
Aren't we the only zoner in a game full of grapplers? Isn't this basically just a nightmare for any zoner player? I don't know. I mean, the zoner versus grappler matchup can go either way, really, and it's usually very much a struggle for the grappler player, but I feel like here there's so many characters with some pretty good moves to get in on you. Obviously, I don't know too much about the game, just from the things that we've seen in the videos that we watched, but maybe that's where he's going to end up struggling.
Only dedicated zoner makes it seem like he should be a great character. The game is all about grabs and getting in close to an opponent.
You think?
So why shouldn't
I don't think that's how it works in reality, though.
The best? Well, it's because a zoner is actually completely useless in a game like Muscle Grand Prix.
Yeah.
See, Muscle Grand Prix doesn't just have a sidestep, which Planet Man would really rather you not know about, but a parry as well, which works on all of the very few projectiles in the game.
Oh my god. That
means that a projectile-focused character would be at a huge disadvantage.
So you just parry the projectile?
And any character on the roster has counters to them baked into the game itself. It's like how in Third Strike, a character like Remy can't afford to projectile spam since parrying shuts him down automatically. Planet Man's gameplay style isn't made for a game with parrying, but especially not a 3D game with parrying. If you can't parry, just double tap up or down and Planet Man can't hurt you. But at least the projectiles he has are good, right? All 3 of them suck for different reasons. Ringstone is the best one, but has an unbelievably high startup at 37 frames. Planet Ring is slow as hell, covers a very short distance, and comes out at a really awkward angle that makes follow-up extremely hard. Apollo Dynamite is the one you're going to be using the most, since Planet Man's one combo uses it, but I'd say it's probably the worst one. Because unlike the other 2, the only thing you need to do to counter it is walk towards Planet Man.
Which is the one thing you don't want the grappler doing as the zoner player. Oh man, the way the projectile comes at you is just not good for covering that forward approach. And this is also another fair point that I forgot to mention. I have never played a 3D fighter before, and I don't really know how prevalent zoners are in 3D fighters. But considering that there's a whole other plane that you can dodge into, as opposed to like a 2D fighter where most games you'll have the option of either like block it or jump over it. Some you can roll through the projectiles, or like Grand Blue, you can dodge in place too as well. But at the very least, you have some sort of expectation as to what your opponent may attempt to do in order to avoid the projectile. Here, they have so many different options they can do. So yeah, I understand what Bumbles means now when Planet Man is not supposed to be in this game. Oh, and during the autumn sale, I picked up Soul Calibur 6, so really looking forward to trying that one out someday. Don't know which one is going to be my first 3D fighter, but I mean, Soul Calibur doesn't seem like a bad beginning. Or a starting place, rather.
It sets up a high launch, which is really good. But is absolutely useless at 2 out of the 3 ranges. If they're too close or too far away, it does nothing. This is a zoning tool that is countered by moving towards the zoner.
It is the antithesis to zoning. The entire reason why you throw out a projectile is to prevent them from doing that. But the counterplay is to just do that. What the heck?
As well, all of these moves eat loads of meter. So you're gonna need to find some way to try and build meter to keep up your zoning. Projectile. Which means you're either charging,
pretty cool move,
trying to hit the opponent, or getting hit. With how bad Planet Man is, you're gonna be relying on that third option. So he's a zoner with bad projectiles. This is a great start. I can't wait to see how many more cars we can add to this pile-up. Planet Man's basic moves outside of his specials are garbage. With a 17-frame startup jab, making it one of the worst jabs in the entire game. Sounds bad, right? Comparing it to a jab like Brocken Jr.'s or Warsman's, who only have 11 frames of startup, or Neptune Man, who might be 15 frames but deals 28 damage to Planet Man's 12, but hey!
What? 28 to Planet Man's 12? And it's still faster, what the fuck?
This is actually one of his fastest moves. So many of Planet Man's moves are abysmally slow that it leaves his combos feeling really unsatisfying and like there are holes in them.
Okay, look, to be fair, he's made out of planetary bodies. They don't exactly move that quickly.
Holes that an opponent can tear into with basic mashing. Planet Man's combo potential is really bad. Having a
yeah, okay, that move was pretty cool. The moves seem quite inspired, it's just, fundamentally speaking, flawed when it comes to this kind of character, especially in this kind of game.
Small pool of natural combos, and even less that can be practically pulled off. Just like Scarface as well, his pitiful frame data leaves him totally incapable of getting away from or applying pressure, forcing you to wait until your opponent's hand cramps to get the opportunity to try to start winning the game. Except unlike Scarface, Planet Man doesn't even get to have high damage. His combos are too short and base damage too low to consider any of his combos worthwhile. As if life couldn't get any worse, sometimes the stars align into a middle finger for Planet Man, as his moves just don't work. For the perfect example, there's his standard super. A 2-hit kick that will stun the opponent when it lands.
Okay.
Stun states are good. They stop the opponent from hitting you, which Planet Man desperately needs help with. Except the first kick has too much knockback, meaning that unless you're...
So the second kick sometimes doesn't connect despite the first one. What the fuck? This is just Jaggy all over again with his round-winning KO, but just ending himself. Why? Why did we make it this way? How did we not playtest this?
Nestled deep in the corner, or against the ropes, the first hit actually combos out of the second hit, making it just a pathetic damage dealer with no stun. Oh, and in case you thought that was all, it doesn't even work 100% of the time in the corner, and will still whiff on occasion at complete random.
What?
That means you can't rely on it, and if you do throw it out and it fails, you put yourself in the easiest punish state for your opponent to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Unlike
it's basically like you missed a super or you missed a DP, you are 100% going to get punished by your opponent's most optimal combo.
Other heavy stun moves as well, it can't force the opponent into a rope bounce, because the developers fucking hate Planet Man. This is all on top of the base issue that by using this move, you're spending meter that you're supposed to be accruing for your special projectiles.
Yeah.
That's not the only one that doesn't work. Apollo Dynamite is meant to be unblockable, as it's your heavy damage AoE projectile that can punish people trying to sidestep it. Only, because the move wasn't coded properly, it is blockable, making it super easy to avoid. As if that wasn't bad enough, sometimes this happens. Planet Man's kick-based attacks have a bad habit of going off-axis for no reason.
I don't know, man. Maybe the Saturn just randomly rotated in an odd direction, causing the kick to go completely wide. I don't know what's happening with this guy. Poor Planet Man. He deserves better.
Meaning that an attempt to snuff out an approaching enemy becomes a clown show of Planet Man missing kicks to an opponent who isn't even fighting back. All of this with a body as big as Scarface's,
intentionally
meaning you get
whipping.
None of the benefits of a big character, and all of the downsides.
Holy
Planet Man
shit.
is a terribly designed character in MGP2. And it feels kinda bad pairing him with Scarface. Scarface can at least win matches. Planet Man's too ashamed to show his goddamn face after missing 7 consecutive kicks to an opponent 2 inches in front of him.
That is so dumb, man. Just look at that. Like, is there literally no tracking on those kicks? Nothing? I guess there's probably only certain moves in 3D fighters that would be able to track like that. Otherwise, the dodging wouldn't be very effective. But still, like, the opponent isn't dodging here. It just doesn't work.
The footage that I'm using of me playing through arcade mode as Planet Man is the most Planet Man footage that exists anywhere on the internet. The only other person even attempting to make Planet Man work is Maxev on Twitter, who helped me fact check and punch up this section, and by playing as him, has become the #1 Planet Man player in the world. This game
reminds me of what chat said when we were learning BlazBlue. I was trying out Makoto, who is basically like the squirrel girl of the game. And everybody was like, Zero, if you made Makoto, you're gonna be like at least top 10 in the world. It's because I'm that good at fighting games, right guys? Right?
has a walking toilet, who throws poop and has a very unflattering charge animation from behind. And he's better than both of these guys! For the final game, this may come as a shock to fans of the franchise.
Really?
But did you know that Guilty Gear actually had a first game? Yeah, it's not Strive! Guilty Gear was a hidden gem for a long time before Strive took it to new heights, and for years it's dazzled players with its innovative gameplay and confused newcomers with its dumb names. Listen.
Yeah, Guilty Gear has had a long and storied past, with a particular time where I believe Arxis even lost the rights to Guilty Gear. That's kind of when BlazBlue stepped in as what was originally kind of like a secondary series for them to become its primary focus until they could get Guilty Gear back. But from what I recall from all the stuff that we learned about the series, the older Guilty Gear games were pretty difficult to get into, considering the different mechanics that the game had. Just a very mechanically demanding fighter.
We've gotten used to them, but Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R sounds like somebody shot a dictionary and pieced together the title from scraps that flew out of it. You wanna know how bad it is? The first Guilty Gear isn't even called Guilty Gear. It's called Guilty Gear Missing Link. How are you missing a link? There's only one of you! Missing Link is such a weird game. It's kind of the Guilty Gear we all know, but everything's just wrong. The music's a little off, the sprites are weirder, the moves aren't all there, Soul doesn't have a face, It's hard to describe, but you can tell just how bad first game syndrome hit Missing Link.
Yeah.
That said, it's still a really fun fighting game, and popularized mechanics that would define the series and fighting games as a whole.
Look, everybody has to start from somewhere. And these are very humble beginnings, but where we are now, I mean, we wouldn't be here without something like this. So I could appreciate this stuff despite it being a little bit jank for those reasons.
Roman cancels and bursts. That's because those are in Guilty Gear X, and those wouldn't exist if it weren't for Missing Link. It's the least explored Guilty Gear game outside of, petite Guilty Gear, thanks to its age and jank, but that doesn't mean we were clueless about who the best is. Now, try and act surprised here, but the fast characters are good, and the slow characters are bad. Crazy, right?
We haven't seen anything like this before. So what? Who were top tiers? Was it Milia, Chip as well? Maybe. Would Kai be considered a fast character? I don't know.
Top tiers include Chip, Milia, and the one and done Dr. Baldhead. All three share common traits, like a lack of real weaknesses.
Wait, one and done Dr. Baldhead. I mean, isn't Dr. Baldhead Faust? I'm pretty sure they're the same person, no? But I suppose the difference in design is there, so you could maybe consider them different characters? That or I'm getting my Guilty Gear lore mixed up.
Relatively easy supers, and speed that's second to none. But mirroring these three are three characters so bad, so poorly made, that in some cases the job of finishing the characters comes down to the player rather than the developers.
Potemkin
to start with
and
the only one
Testament?
of these three that functions properly, we have Potemkin.
Yeah.
Yes, he is as bad as two characters who weren't finished.
Poor dude.
So Arc System Works has a really interesting design ethos when it comes to designing grappler characters, where they flip a coin to decide on making them either the best or worst character in the game.
Yup. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Also, DNF Duel looks so cool. I want to play it. It's unfortunate that it's dead, but we might play it someday if I can get it on a deep discount.
If it lands heads, you get Tagger, whose dust loop page reads like a suicide note.
Tagger?
If it lands on tails, you get Z Broly, who just kept adding armor to Lariat Express to see if anybody would stop him. And they didn't! However, one time the coin landed on its side, and that's how we got Potemkin. Now, I'm not a Guilty Gear fan per se. I like the games, I like the characters, I like the world, but I've never gotten into the gameplay. But
Fair
I am
enough.
a Potemkin fan. I enjoy the platonic ideal of a character who puts their name into their signature move. Potemkin is a grappler's grappler. Even if he isn't the
very much
strongest
so.
character, the Potemkin Buster is a move to be respected and feared. Able to turn games around in a single grab, and 0 to
Essentially.
death chip in only 2. He's also got a variety of moves.
Man, the chip matchup really is just a horror game, essentially. For both players, honestly. You can either spend the entire round as Potemkin doing literally nothing except blocking and then dying, or you randomly get grabbed out of nowhere and die as Chip.
To help him achieve his goal of Buster or Bust. Like his Flick to put a stop to any zoning, and Slide Head to make his approach safer. Potemkin can vary a lot from game to game as to where he places on the tier list. He can be low tier like an Exard, middle of the road like an Accent Core. Heck, he actually seems to be the best he's ever been right now in Strive.
Yeah.
Potemkin can be a
They fool
lot
the
of
nerves.
things, but one thing
Still
is
pretty good,
always
though.
true. He's fun to play, and even more fun to watch. That's why seeing how he started in Missing Link is so shocking. Potemkin in Missing Link is just... oh
Garbage.
my god! So first things first, a lot of Potemkin's traits were established early, like the fact that he lacks a forward dash. This follows him throughout the series, but he does get a great tool to make up for it in Hammerfall, a charge input that lets him dash in while having armor, to snuff out any attempts to stop him. And Missing Link Pot doesn't get that. He doesn't get the Flick, he doesn't get Hammerfall. I'd say he at least has Sliding Head, but it's debatable if that's a good thing. In later games, Sliding Head is a full-screen quick unblockable that acts as a great way to keep people from zoning Potemkin out.
In the first game?
It forces them to jump or get hit, where Potemkin can then hammerfall his way in for a buster. Not only does Potemkin not have hammerfall to capitalize on Sliding Head, but he's always going to get punished whenever he uses it, thanks to the move being techable. Tech in this game is done by pressing up and attack when getting hit to recover super fast. And Sliding Head, in this game called Graviton Stomp, can be teched immediately, negating all effectiveness it could have as a move to let
even
Potemkin
the point?
in. Not really the negative it sounds like, since in is not really a place Potemkin wants to be, as his horrible normals and combo game see him helpless at the range he should be best at. His combo game is truly depressing. It's difficult to convert into any real damage with him thanks to his slow normals. And his one bread and butter combo that can deal damage doesn't even work all the time! If the opponent is crouching, the final Mega Fist that ends out the combo just doesn't hit. And if the opponent is Cliff, Biken, or Axel, they don't even need to crouch. Their profiles are so low, Potemkin naturally misses them.
No, the eternal curse of playing the big body characters. We had that happen too when I think I was playing King of Dinosaurs in KOF 15. And sometimes I just throw out a normal, and the characters that Kane was playing, I think it was like Yuri at the time, was just too tiny. She's just too small. I can't even hit her while I'm standing. I have to just crouch. But, well, it's not really the greatest comparison, considering that grapplers in King of Fighters were pretty much always good, I would say. They have a lot of really good tools to get in. But yeah, for first version of Potemkin here, it's just super unfortunate that he's got all the downsides and nothing good going for him.
All Axel has to do to dodge is just be himself. Also, due to his lack of a dash, Potemkin is one of the only characters in the game lacking an infinite combo, which, while they're definitely overblown and missing Link for their effectiveness, totally still exist and should be worried about. Potemkin not having one is just another way he struggles to do anything the rest of the cast gets to do with ease. Funnily enough, his best tool is still Potemkin Buster. The move is strong, though noticeably weak for a Buster, comes out frame 1, has no whiff animation, and can be guard cancelled into, making for an incredible counter tool. Stuck in the corner is Potemkin's home stage in this game, so it's a useful tool. Overall, Potemkin is a character with nothing he's especially good at, can't show off the few good things he can do, and has to work his ass off for rewards that just aren't worth it. I'd argue Potemkin might be worse than the next two simply because those two are broken. Meanwhile, Potemkin was meant to be this way. This is all going according to plan. The second character, and first of the Broken Brothers, is Axel. He's British and wears jorts. He was destined for great things. And in later games, he would get them. Accent Core especially is where he's at his best. Even if he's not as good in Exard and Strive, you can be sure that Missing Link Axel is begging to be that high up and that competent. So Axel's most defining trait in every game he's in is his range. His chained sickles allow him to control the area around him with ease, thanks to fast, far-reaching normals. He's most comparable to Dhalsim in that regard, but where Dhalsim supplements that moveset with a fireball and his famous dive kick, Axel in this game sucks. See, his range is incredible. Some great stuff. Jumping heavy slash is a lot of fun. But the end of the sickle is the only hitbox on a lot of these moves.
Oh shit. Just the end of the sickle? So actually hitting somebody would be kind of a nightmare. It would be super easy to dodge, no? And hell, I'm sure there's probably moments where it just clips through somebody without actually hitting them.
Meaning that unlike a Dhalsim, whose long normals have appropriate hitboxes, here only the very tip of the move will damage you. Meaning that you're nowhere near as safe as you feel.
Yeah.
Despite his good movement speed, that range also comes with a huge attack speed problem, wherein the time it takes for the sickle to come back the opponent can recover and punish you pretty easily. These are all pretty standard weaknesses though, so what do I mean when I say Axel isn't finished? Well, Missing Link has a charge mechanic. Not like in Fighters, or even charge as in Guile or Hydern. Each character has a chargeable move that you can perform by performing the move's input with the respect button instead of the attack button. Respect
Gotcha.
in this game is taunt, but on a different button. So for a character like Dr. Baldhead, if you do a DP motion and hold respect, you can charge your hack and slash move to increase its damage by loads. Potemkin has one, but he has the slowest charge in the game and a bad charge at that, so don't worry about it. Charge also allows you to charge cancel, canceling out of normals into a charge to negate ending lag and perform charge cancel specific combos. So, which of Axel's moves has the charge? Is it his one good one in Dototsu?
Oh man, oh no. Poor Axel, man. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that this used to be a mechanic, or, well, was a mechanic in the first Guilty Gear. This is probably one of those things that people were talking about when they said, like, older Guilty Gear had a lot of different little mechanics to it that you'd kind of have to figure out. Regular combo trials are already difficult enough for me, but I can't imagine how difficult doing, like, charge cancel combos in this version of the game would be.
Please say it's Dototsu. None of them! Axel can't
has none?
charge! Oh,
Bro.
so it must be a...
Wait, what did that say? Arxis ran out of dev time, so they dummied out Axel's ability to charge. This means Axel misses out on infinite combos and the ability to instantly cancel normals on hit and block. Well, and also, neither of Axel's supers actually combo with themselves. Opponents simply fall out of them and can block and punish the rest. No! Why is this such a common trend? Well, I mean, that's kind of the reason why they're all collected in this one video. Just bottom tier trash character because your moves don't even work. You weren't even finished. You don't really fit into the game that you're in. And also, he's wearing jorts. No!
Oh, so it must be a gimmick, right? Like, he can't charge his moves, but he gets a strong tool in its place, right? Oh, we didn't even think of that. Him and the game's two boss characters are the only ones that can't charge. And while it makes sense for the boss strength characters, Axel not having one automatically makes him weaker than the rest
Axel ain't really
of the
a
cast.
boss character, yeah.
Even with these multiple problems, Axel being unfinished does have an advantage. See, they forgot to give him all of his hurt boxes. 2H, Jumping Punch, and all of his specials and supers have some period of invulnerability where he can't be hurt simply because his hurt boxes aren't there.
What the fuck? So you're telling me that he just gets like a free DP on a lot of his moves? Just iframes everywhere because he doesn't have any frames to begin with? That's insane, bro. Man, we really just shipped this out and said, yep, job done. I'm so glad Guilty Gear has survived till this day. But things were rough back then, weren't they?
Axel is still terrible, whether or not he has all of his hurt boxes all the time, but their exclusion does lead to descriptions like this, where Dototsu is invincible for the first 3 frames, then frame 6 to 15, then again from frame 24 to 28.
What the fuck?
Being the second best low-tier weapon-wielding blonde British man with a bandana in a fighting game must be a tough pill to swallow, but it's at its toughest in Missing Link. Our final character, and worst off out of the bunch, is the game's mid-boss, Testament. Now, like Potemkin, I like Testament.
Testament's
I think they're
cool.
Their
Yeah.
design is neat. I like their scythe and how much envy it gives Axel, and they soon get a funny hat. When I found out they'd been around since the first entry in the series, I thought it'd be cool to check out and see what they were like.
I may be misremembering this, but I believe Testament's only 2 appearances were in the first game and now in Strive. Like, they had been gone for such a long time. And when they announced Testament for Strive, a lot of people kind of went crazy, like the OG Guilty Gear fans, because they've been wanting Testament to return.
Now, you might think that they're really good after the last 6 examples we've gone over, but they're actually really bad.
Yeah.
So Testament is meant to be a combination Trap Master and Zoner. Sounds like Jaggy, which is a good place to be at. Testament specials aren't terrible. Phantom Soul is a good projectile. Gravedigger is a super fun move to spam and close the gap. And those are actually Testament's only good special moves, I apologize. The rest are so goddamn slow, with anywhere from 30 to 90 frames of startup to execute properly.
I'll be honest, I don't recognize any of these moves that OG Testament is throwing out here. I suppose we completely reworked Testament in order to fit them into Strive, which, thank goodness.
How are you going to keep people away if it takes a whole 2 seconds to launch a move? I get it, it's supposed to be a trap, but I think a trap should be usable whenever you set it, not 2 seconds after you launch it. They thankfully have close to the worst 100%. Instant kill in the game, so things are only getting better. But where Axel was bugged to the point of not working, Testament passed that point about 10 minutes ago. Okay, so as a boss character like Justice, Testament can't charge. Justice doesn't care about this, because Justice is invincible while walking backwards, so what the hell could she—
This one move is better than Axel and Testament combined. The guys over at Justlu are just having fun, aren't they? But do you guys think we'll ever get to see Justice return again in Guilty Gear? Like, honestly, I would love to see a modern-day version of Justice in Strive for Guilty Gear 2.0, whenever that drops. But there are also a ton of other characters that we're still missing. One that I think would be cool to see again is Answer. He's unfortunately not in Strive, but hey, maybe someday.
Have to worry about. Testament, meanwhile, has to play the game like a goddamn farmer, so this is a disastrous debuff. Except that's not all they're missing. Because remember how important I said teching was in this game? Yeah. Especially because it's the only way to escape some infinite—
You're telling me the Testament can't tech? They can't do a universal mechanic? Like, it's just not a part of their kit?
Combos? Testament can't tech.
Oh my
Pressing
god.
Up and attack after getting hit does nothing. Meaning other infinites that really just need to be teched out of, like Soul's 66K, can't be escaped, making them true infinites. Why is Testament missing this ability? No reason. But you want to know what's worse? They can get it back. But it requires a little development minigame to achieve. By selecting any other character in the game, getting knocked down hard by a move, and then going back to character select and picking Testament, the game stores the value of a tech being possible and will apply it to Testament. Except
How did we discover this? It's just like, oh no, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Like every other character in the game, you can only tech with the respect button instead of any of the attack buttons. Pressing anything else while in the fan-dubbed Textament state could possibly ruin it and force you to go back and do it all over again. Have you ever had a fighting game without a character creator hand you a character and say, if you're so smart, you finish it? Susano in BlazBlue does it, but when he does it, it's cool. Even after you perform the minigame, there are still some major oversights. Like Dimension Scythe, their trapping special which limits the opponent's movement. Backdashing during that makes you invincible for as long as you're trapped, making it so any pressure or traps you'd hope to apply during the stopped time don't work. These three being in the state that they are is a major part as to why Missing Link has gone unexplored to any serious degree. If the game is so broken that 3 characters on a roster of 13 are unplayably bad, who knows what other jank is waiting beneath the surface? SNK, this is the first fighting game you've made since I've become a fan of your stuff, and I've been really excited for City of the Wolves, and then you pissed in my mouth, and then you shit in my mouth. Could you please fuck off? Please, please fuck off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, Ganache is fine. Like, after learning more about him, he's a cool dude. Ronaldo should not be there. But I know some people will say Ronaldo actually is pretty cool. He's got some neat moves. It's just, I don't want to see him. Not in my fighting game. At least that's my opinion. But yeah, we'll play City of the Wolves eventually. I already have the game, so just a matter of time. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Going back to some familiar games like Kaneko Man and getting to learn about the Fist of the North Star fighting game was neat. Guilty Gear as well. Like, I'm not too familiar with the gameplay of the older games since we kind of just skimmed past them by learning the lore and getting a few details here and there. It was interesting to see the incredibly humble beginnings of such a prominent franchise within the fighting game community. But in a way, it also gives me a little bit of hope. Like, it reminds me of how bad some of the very first videos I've ever done on YouTube are. And it's just kind of a good reminder that everybody has to start from somewhere. It's not going to be great at the beginning, but over time it gets better. But yeah, dudes, that's going to be it from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.